That night, I realized a simple truth. The blinding white light of a gas station doesn't protect you from the darkness. It just turns you into a perfectly lit target in a glass display case, an exhibit watched by a predator from the ink-black void outside. It was 2017. I was 21, working the graveyard shift at a small-town convenience store a few miles from my house. It was the kind of job that felt like floating through a vacuum. Inside, there was the sterile hum of the refrigerators and the buzzing of fluorescent bulbs. Outside, there was only the highway and a wall of trees that seemed to swallow any light that dared to stray too far from the pumps. Around 10 p.m., the silence was shattered by the sharp ring of the store phone. I picked up, expecting my boss, but all I heard was heavy rhythmic breathing. Then came the voice, low, drawn out, and gravelly. A dead ringer for Ghostface from the movie Scream. "Are you all alone in there?" the voice hissed. I was young and full of bravado back then. I figured my friends were just bored, so I threw back some sarcasm and hung up. But 10 minutes later, it rang again. The same voice, now chillingly calm, whispered, "I wouldn't be so rude to people who know exactly where you are." My smirk vanished, replaced by a cold, leaden weight in my stomach. Things spiraled quickly after that. Between the calls, I started hearing things. A soft tap against the exterior wall, a light scrape like metal on siding, and then the unmistakable crunch of gravel coming from the back alley where the dumpster sat. I checked the monitors, but the grainy black and white feed showed nothing but shifting shadows and empty pavement. The blind spots felt like they were growing. At 11:40 p.m., the bell above the door chimed, making me nearly jump out of my skin. A man walked in. He looked ordinary enough, early 30s, casual clothes, but his face was a mask of total neutrality. He didn't say hello. He just began to drift through the aisles. I watched him on the cameras, my heart hammering against my ribs. He wasn't shopping. He was moving in a way that ensured I would catch glimpses of him through the gaps in the shelves. Just the top half of his face, his eyes locked onto me, unblinking. After 9 agonizing minutes, he finally brought a single bag of chips to the counter. As I scanned them, the silence was so thick I could hear my own pulse. Just as he reached the door to leave, he stopped. Without turning his body, he slowly craned his neck over his shoulder, chin tucked low, eyes looking up at me. Then he smiled. It wasn't a human expression. It was the bared teeth of a hunter who knew his prey was cornered. He stepped outside, but he didn't go to a car. He walked along the front window, keeping his eyes on me through the glass, until he rounded the corner and vanished into the blind spot near the woods. I stared at the monitor for 5 minutes. He never came back out. I didn't wait for midnight. I locked the door early, my hands shaking so violently I could barely fit the key into the deadbolt. As I sprinted toward my car, I heard the sound that still haunts my dreams. The rapid, heavy slap, slap, slap of footsteps on pavement. It wasn't a run. It was a terrifying, high-speed walk. A shadow detached itself from the corner of the building and lunged toward me. I dove into the driver's seat, slammed the locks, and cranked the engine just as he reached the glass. I peeled out of that lot in reverse, tires screaming. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing perfectly still under the yellow hum of the parking lot lights, watching me disappear. The next day, my boss watched the footage and shrugged, calling him a weird customer. He hadn't heard the voice on the phone. He hadn't felt the predatory weight of that smile. I quit on the spot. Even now, years later, I know the truth. The caller and the man at the door were the same person, And he wasn't there for the chips.